We're all podcasts that dig podcasting and Christmas.
We enjoy giving so much, we're giving our shows away.
In the spirit of Christmas, we're going to do the work for another podcaster.
But Santa's been randomized. We're getting random new hosts.
Wait. We've got to do a random show?
Good thing they're all so awesome.
Movies, nostalgia, drinks, games, fact and fiction.
So much good stuff.
I can do that show. They can do our show. Santa Says.
When Christmas arrives, we'll have guests on our feed.
You'll find us elsewhere in someone else's world.
Having fun with their creative experience and doing what they do.
Podcast Secret Santa Exchange with
The Movie Seller.
On Second Watch.
Not suitable for adults.
Geeksploration the Podcast.
Grand Rapidians play video games.
Featured creatures.
Drinkopedia.
90s Court.
Suck My Fanfic.
Black Case Diaries movie and TV podcast.
Check out the fun!
All right, welcome to Not Suitable for Adults. I just realized I'm not wearing my headphones, so I'm going to put those on.
You can't hear anything, can you?
Oh man, that's so much better.
Now you can actually hear things.
Yeah. It was still a valid opening to the show, so we're going to keep it.
Oh, for sure. It's just, be prepared next time.
That's right. Sometimes you got to just remember to put on your headphones. Anyway, you should have just heard a promotion for a very special event coming up next week, which is a podcast Secret Santa swap. We have decided to participate with some other podcasts to do a little mix-up, little mix and match, little exchange.
Those are all the same word, yes.
Yep. We're going to be hosting another show. It's a secret, so we can't tell you what it is. But we'll be on another channel next week, and someone else will host the show on this channel, so you'll hear other people talking about children's shows from an adult perspective.
That's pretty funny.
I think it's going to be funny. It's going to be fun.
Hopefully they don't. No, what I mean is,
hopefully they don't ruin it.
No, what I mean is, hopefully, it brings them as much enjoyment as it brings us, and they're not just like, this is the most boring thing ever.
I imagine. So we don't know we really truly don't know who's hosting our show next week. Hopefully, I anticipate that whoever it is, knowing sort of who the podcasts are that we're working with, there will probably be a lot of nostalgia next week.
Mm-hmm.
There's one group that I kind of hope get it. There's what?
I'm just saying, don't start like rating
who they are. Okay,
I
won't say that. I just know that there are a couple of groups that do have parents in the group, and so it might be that you get sort of the same kind of thing, just with a new voice.
Yeah.
But you might just get a lot of nostalgia for some old cartoons, which is also great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think either way, it'll be fun.
It will be. And then we'll be back the week after that. So this will be just a little fun side trip.
Yep.
Let's get started this week, shall we?
I'm Natalie.
And I'm Rich. And this is how long it's taken to finish the introduction.
All right, let's go.
Natalie's like, can we just, like, come on. It's the holiday season.
It's the holiday season.
And boop, beep, boop.
Whoop-dee-doo.
And what better thing could we have watched? There's literally nothing.
That's not true.
We watched the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. Mm-hmm. Actually, a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Around the time it came out.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it was cute. I have to say that.
I have to say,
I'm constrained by a contract to say no. I thought it was funny. So if you're familiar at all with sort of what Lego does, they like to put a little humorous spin on the various things that they sort of parody. It's not really parody, but it's not also part of like the actual timeline of whatever it is. Because there's like Lego Harry Potter and Lego Indiana Jones and Lego, and so there's always sort of a jokey element to it, right?
Yes.
And so that's a lot of what you get here. So the story is basically right after the sequel trilogy ends, Rey is trying to teach Finn how to use the Force.
Yes.
And they're on the Millennium Falcon, and they're on their way to Chewie's home planet, which is called Kashyyyk, if you're not a nerd like me.
Would you just call me?
Huh? A Kashyyyk.
Rude.
Rude. And so they're on their way there for Life Day, which is the setting of the original Star Wars holiday special. So,
which was terrible, right?
Classically, and traditionally very bad. I've actually not as big of a Star Wars fan as I am. I've never seen it.
You haven't?
No. I've never tracked it down.
I don't feel like
I can call myself a Star Wars fan anymore. Did I lose my fan card?
Just a little bit of Star Wars credibility.
Well, the thing is that
But I've never claimed to be I like Star Wars. I've never claimed to be the giant fan that you are.
Yeah. But here's what I know about the original holiday special. It takes place during the same time of year, Life Day, which is sort of the Star Wars equivalent of the holiday season of like Christmas time and
Life Day sounds more like a birthday.
Sure. And then they in the original holiday special, they do this just like in this one. They meet up with Chewbacca's family. The differences are that in the original holiday special, I believe Princess Leia has like she has a singing role, so she sang a song.
Was it all the original people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Carrie Fisher sang a song.
Carrie Fisher sang a song. There was like every single character did a corny thing in the original one. There was a little bit of a storyline of like Luke and Han and all of them having to go do something, but the effects were very bad because it was like a TV special and not a movie. And also the thing that everyone feels like is the best thing that came out of the original holiday special, which is the introduction of Boba Fett. That's the first time you ever see Boba Fett in Star Wars is in the original holiday special.
Okay.
And so, anyway, in this one, we have all of these surviving characters from the end of the sequel trilogy, and Rey is trying to teach Finn how to be a Jedi, and she's just having trouble. She's just having a lot of trouble. And
so, for those of you that aren't familiar, this is all in Lego form, just like the Lego movie, just like Lego Batman, all those sorts of things. So that's why we're talking about it, because it's animated and
yeah. So
I meant versus the first one that you were talking about, which was not animated. It was a live action sort of thing.
Right. The original one was live action. This is animated Lego. Right. Yeah. I should have said the current one is fully like 3D Lego animated. Like the very funny, like the much funnier, I will say, Lego movies.
Yes, Lego movies and Lego Batman are definitely. This was not as.
This is not that.
Yes,
but it is kind of that. Because it has the same kind of like Lego jokes. People's hair get blown off at times, and they like stick it back on their head.
And it's short too, right?
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute thing. The long and the short of it is, Rey, who is the protagonist of the sequel trilogy, if you're not up to speed on that, she's a Jedi, and we kind of are supposed to understand at the end of this is a whole Star Wars thing that Finn is supposed to be Force sensitive, and so she wants to teach him how to be a Jedi.
Spoilers.
Well, I mean, by now you've either seen it or you haven't. So, And so she's trying to teach him how to do this, and she's just not getting through to him. She's not really on the same page with him. And so she learns about this like special Jedi temple that she could go to sort of get centered with Jedi of the past. And she thinks that that'll help her be a better teacher for Finn. So even though everyone else is getting ready for Life Day, she says, I'm going to go do this thing, and I promise I'll be back in time for the celebration. And so she leaves the group and goes to this temple.
They're not the same voices, though, right?
No.
Because it doesn't sound like them to me.
No, I'll kind of get into that here in a second. There are some original voices,
okay.
But I'll talk about that in just a minute. And so I won't go through the whole story, but the long and the short of it is she gets to this temple, and she is able to interact with some Jedi from the past in sort of a weird, entertaining flashback sequence. A bunch of, not really flashbacks. She basically travels back to a bunch of classic moments throughout the Star Wars history.
Yes, they recreate a lot of classic scenes using the Lego format, which is fun to see.
Yeah, for sure. And so we won't go through every single thing, but she goes through and she basically learns what it means to be like a Jedi Master to someone, and she learns her lesson and everything. Everyone's all happy at the end, like you would expect it to be. Like I said, it is a short film. I think it's for sure less than an hour. I think it's 45 minutes. Looking at Rotten Tomatoes, which is something we don't always do, but I wanted to kind of get a feel, because I guess I haven't seen a lot of feedback on this. It seems like people are just kind of, oh yeah, that's out there. It has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a fresh score.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a 64% audience score. So that's pretty close to, you want to see the audience score be close to the tomato meter. And so 70 and 64, like that's about right. That means that there's not any of this weird, like, review collusion that happens sometimes where it's like, it seems like reviewers are going to try and bolster or really tear down a movie.
Oh, okay.
That's not happening here. The people who have reviewed this movie are about on the same page as the audience. More people like it than don't, but it's not overwhelming. There are a handful of original voices in this movie. Specifically, Kelly Marie Tran is the actress who portrays Rose Tico in the new movies, and she is the voice of Rose. Billy D. Williams voices Lando. Anthony Daniels voices C-3PO. And then there are a bunch of other actors and actresses that portray most of the other folks. There have been, I believe, I don't know a ton about this, but I believe we've had Lego portrayals of like the Emperor and Darth Vader before. And I think that the actors who have done that for Lego.
You mean in the Lego movie?
In the Lego,
mm-hmm.
yeah, in the Lego universe. So the people who have voiced those characters elsewhere voice them here,
right?
And for those that don't exist, like we see Anakin, we see young Obi-Wan Kenobi. For those people, the voice actors who portrayed them in shows like the Clone Wars are the voices here.
Gotcha.
So they don't completely like just strip it down and do random new people.
All new random. Yeah.
They're aiming for familiar voices. I think the only one that is like totally new and is especially, I don't know, was a little the most confusing was the actress who portrayed Rey.
Yeah, because it sounded like someone, I'm not saying she did bad.
No.
But because we have a real life Rey to compare her to, it sounded like somebody that was trying to sound like Daisy
Yeah, it
Ridley.
was someone doing a Daisy Ridley impression.
Yeah, and I noticed that first off. It just sounded a little forced, I guess. Oh. I made that without. I was so confused for a second when you went.
You forced it.
Okay. So, but it did. It sounded like somebody trying to recreate her voice.
Oh no. BB-8. Like it was almost like she elongated a bunch of words to like make sure you really
And maybe that was her real voice. And I feel bad if it is.
Oh, I hope she's not listening.
She's not. But I don't know. It felt like somebody that wasn't using their real voice.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It felt like somebody that was trying to be Daisy Ridley's voice.
Yeah, I think that's about right. We've talked about this before. Being a voice actor has got to be one of the most like difficult things because you have to tap into that, and this is like a brand new thing. So, I wasn't paying attention to these kinds of things when things like the Clone Wars came out, and someone had to imitate the sound of Hayden Christensen's voice and the sound of all these famous characters. And so I wonder if she continues to be the voice actress for Rey down the line, like if that'll kind of refine and if it'll eventually sound normal.
I kind of wish that when somebody makes a live action thing into a cartoon and they're not using the same people, that they just don't try to be the original person, the original person's voice. You notice it if it's an animation and then an animation sequel. You notice if they've changed voices.
Yeah.
But going from a live thing to an animation, I feel like if you're not going to have the original actors, then just let the other people just do their own animation version of Anakin. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how it's been done before. Like the guy who portrays, for instance, Anakin Skywalker, his name is Matt Lanter. He does a pretty good like Anakin. I don't know that he sounds a lot like Hayden Christensen, but he does a good Anakin. He doesn't have as much like kind of gruff to his voice as Hayden Christensen does. So I think that kind of happens. But also with something where it's so tied to the characters, I think you have to have something, especially if you can, like if it's possible. Like again, for instance, the guy who plays Obi-Wan Kenobi in the animated stuff, his name's James Arnold Taylor. He does a really good Ewan McGregor.
If you can do it good, then yeah. I mean,
and
the
thing is, I don't think that the girl who did Rey was, and she's not on the list here on Rotten Tomatoes, or I would be saying her name. I need to go find her name so I can actually say it out loud. But I don't think she did a bad job.
No, like I said, I thought she sounded fine. It's just that it kind of felt like she was trying super hard to be Rey, be Daisy Ridley.
Her name is Helen Sadler. You're right. You're right. Just, I don't know. It's not the end of the world. It's not super distracting. It's just, you can tell it's someone doing an impression. Mm-hmm. So overall, I thought that this was a fun little movie. It's like many of the things that we review. I think it's obviously mainly aimed at kids who are familiar with the Star Wars universe.
It's definitely going to be more fun if you are familiar with the Star Wars universe.
Oh yes, you need to know, and like not like deep lore or anything.
You need to have a Star Wars basis.
You need to have watched all the movies. Mm-hmm. To get all the things. And there are some fun inside jokes in here. They throughout these sort of time travel stuff, they go to literally every other instance of live action Star Wars, including they drop through The Mandalorian really quick, which I thought was kind of funny.
Right, they include The Mandalorian in there too. Yeah.
So anyway, worth a look if you're a Star Wars fan or if your kid is a Star Wars fan for sure.
I agree.
And that is Lego Star Wars Holiday Special.
It's a big old name.
It's a lot of name.
Yeah.
Hey, do we have an activity this week?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's just a couple facts that I found.
Fact time with Natalie.
Yes, that's right. It's about the holidays at Walt Disney World.
Oh, go on.
We're bringing a little bit of holiday spirit into this episode and probably into the next few until the holiday season is over,
sure.
I would think. But the longest float in the Christmas parade, again, this is at Disney World.
The Disney Christmas parade, yeah.
Is 50 feet in length. 391 individual costume pieces are used for Mickey's Most Merriest Celebration show. A 65-foot tall tree is on display in Town Square. It weighs 16.5 tons and is topped with a 2-foot star.
Where did the giant Christmas trees come from?
The North Pole.
Oh, okay. Asked and answered.
They have a giant Christmas tree farm there. I actually don't know. I actually really don't know.
I was just thinking about this recently. I
wonder if the Walt Disney World big Christmas tree had the same hard times as the Rockefeller Christmas tree.
The poor Rockefeller Christmas tree.
Guys, everybody's feeling it this year. Everybody's feeling the 2020 vibe, and that includes the Christmas trees.
Yeah, the 30 Rock Christmas tree.
If you guys haven't seen what it looked like when they pulled that 30 Rock Christmas tree out, y'all should just go look at it.
It's like whoever, whatever company. Here's the thing. I know this isn't what it is, but I imagine, because there's a few places that get giant Christmas trees every year. Mm-hmm. Disney's one of them. Rockefeller's one of them. I like to imagine that there's just like how there are Christmas tree stands that pop up in towns, that somewhere there's a giant Christmas tree stand that all these giant, cities and companies call to say, I need a giant Christmas tree. And the guy goes, all right, well, it's $30, but I'll tie it to the top of your car for you.
I doubt it's
30. More than 30. I just threw a number out there. But it feels like they called up this place and they're like, I don't know, man. Probably not as many people are going to see it this year. Just get us a tree. It's got to be this tall.
The poor thing. I think it's been fixed up and everything now. It looks gorgeous like it should now. But when they pulled that thing off of that truck, it looked like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree in the movie. Okay. 5,400 LED lights are on that Christmas tree.
Goodness.
In Disney World. It takes 350,000 lights to create the Castle Dream Light spectacle. So all the lights that cover up the Disney princess castle. That's enough to cover almost 1,750 8-foot Christmas trees. So a lot of us have, usually 7-footers or 8-footers when we have our big Christmas trees up. So just if there's 1,750 of us out there, that's how many lights it takes.
That's a lot of lights.
It takes 7 to 8 weeks to install all of those lights on the castle. The Disney Parks Christmas Day Parade has been delighting families since 1983. I don't know why they thought that was a necessary fact.
They've been doing the parade for a lot longer, but it started delighting families in 1983.
In 1982, they were like, okay. 1983, they were like, well, this is just delightful.
Yes, you finally found your stride.
51,888 feet of garland is used to decorate Main Street, USA.
Okay.
And
so much garland.
A lot of garland. And this is the last one, and it has a lot of numbers in it. So hang in there.
Get your calculators.
To create the life-size gingerbread house at Disney's Grand Floridian, I can never say that right, Resort and Spa, the pastry chefs use 1,050 pounds of honey, 140 pints of egg whites, 700 pounds of chocolate, 800 pounds of flour, 25 pounds of spices, and 600 pounds of powdered sugar.
That's so much. Does anyone eat it?
I mean, I think it's just for display.
They make a whole real gingerbread house.
Yeah, see it? It's right there. It's life size. It's the size
of life.
Of life. Of a house in life.
And no one eats it. They make it out of real food and no one eats it.
Well, it's probably disgusting by the time they're done with it because people have probably touched it.
I'm just saying, why don't they make it out of wood?
Because it's gingerbread seasons.
It's the gingerbread season.
So that's all the facts I had.
About Disney Christmas.
Well, I'm sure there are a ton more, but I didn't want to do them all in one sitting.
It's just a big reminder about how giant the Christmas business is. Because somewhere there's a company somewhere where they're like, we're looking for that big Disney order. They're going to buy 50,000 feet of garland.
I really think that they just go to every Walmart and Kroger.
You think they send out
in
interns?
Florida to get all of the bottles of honey that they have.
Yeah, they send out. Yeah, you're right. That's what it is.
And then they use those interns to squeeze every single little drop of honey out of each of those bottles.
I was
into
thinking
a big old bowl.
I was sitting here actually thinking, oh man, I really feel bad for whoever has to separate all those egg whites. And then I was like, there's probably a machine that does that. I bet they have a machine that cores eggs. But
that cores
that yolks them, that yolks eggs.
Cores the eggs. What is this machine? It's our new egg corer.
Because that many thousand pints of how many was it? How many pints of egg whites?
Hold on, let me get back to it. I've already closed it out.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to say 1 million. It was something like 1 million pints.
It was not 1 million pints.
Somewhere close to 1 million pints of egg whites.
It was like 175 pints.
That's so many egg whites.
Or something like
and
that.
And egg whites so little.
Egg whites so little.
Egg whites so little.
They need an automated egg corer.
Yeah, and I changed my mind. It's a yolker. It yolks the eggs.
No, I like egg. I like egg corer. I like thinking that you think there's a core to an egg.
There is. It's the yolk. That's the core.
Okay.
Anyway, very interesting. So many things that they put up and so much work that goes into this thing once a year.
You know where I would like to go during this holiday season?
Where?
To Promoville.
That's my favorite place. Let's go. And we're back.
We are looking for Blue's Clues. We are looking for Blue's Clues. Yeah.
Hope we don't get copyright infringement lawsuit.
That's why I stopped saying the words. You guys, I'm going to talk about Blue's Clues. I think I mentioned it. Didn't I mention it a couple of weeks ago? And I say, guys, I haven't done Blue's Clues.
To be honest, I feel like we've said, hey, why haven't we done Blue's Clues like 5 times?
Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues.
Well, here it is, so you can stop saying it. Did you watch Blue's Clues? Blue's Clues?
Not for myself.
Couscous.
I watch Couscous.
You did? What do you mean, not for myself?
Sometimes I have seen shows because I was with other people who were watching it.
Oh, okay. Because Cora, she might have seen a couple episodes, but she was never into it. We loved Blue's Clues. I loved Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues.
It sounds like couscous,
yeah.
Which is making me hungry. Blue's Clues. It is a live-action and animated educational children's TV series that premiered on Nick Jr. in 1996.
All the way back in 1996.
Oh, that was a good year. Honestly, have no idea. I don't remember 1996. I was so hot. No, I'm just kidding. I was 8 years old, so I don't remember anything past, 2 years ago. It's 1990.
Wait.
Pretend it's 1990.
Oh, okay.
Parents are saying, listen, there's not a lot of quality in children's TV shows.
True.
I mean, think about 1990.
I can't even, because of how bad the quality of children's shows were, I can't even think about it.
Up until 1990, PBS was the only source of quality children's TV. And when I say quality, I'm meaning like of educational value or, that's exactly what I mean. Other broadcasters voluntarily set up educational standards, but they were expected to regulate that themselves. And a lot of that it was just low quality as far as education goes. By the time Blue's Clues came around in 1996, there were a lot of TV shows for kids, but most of them were violent and full of toy placement to get people to buy placement. Their products and stuff like that. And it was just not a parent's ideal programming.
Yeah.
In 1990, Congress passed the Children's Television Act, or the CTA, which required that networks be held accountable. So the networks were held accountable for the quality of children's programming or risk losing their license.
Dang.
But they provided very little direction on how to go about doing that.
They just said, do it.
The law was very vague and not many improvements were made. So the FCC started in 1996 in enforcing more of the CTA. Mm-hmm. This is all a lot.
The FCC and the CTA.
I'm getting to it. The additional regulations included a provision called the 3-hour rule, which mandated that broadcasters air at least 3 hours of children's program per week between the hours of 7 o'clock to, what's 2200?
10 p.m.
But it's 0700 to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So they needed at least 3 hours in that full day's time that would be tagged with a E/I or educational informational tag.
Gotcha.
So Nickelodeon compiled a team of producers to come up with a television show that lives up to those standards. Mm-hmm. This team of producers they took it very seriously.
Good.
Yes, it was great.
Because they could have done one of two things. They could take it very seriously, or they could have been like, all right, let's put together the bare minimum.
Right. They took it very seriously. They were given $150,000 to produce a pilot.
Okay. Which
I believe is, for a children's TV in the 90s, is a pretty nice sum. Originally, the character Blue was going to be a cat, and it was going to be called Blue's Prince.
Oh, like Blueprints.
Oh, yeah, like Blueprint. But
then they figured kids might not get that.
Also, I read somewhere, and I didn't read it everywhere, but I did read somewhere that it was going to be an orange cat named Blue.
That's bad.
But I'm not sure if that was correct or not, because that seems like they would know better than that. But the show's name was changed, and Blue became a dog because Nickelodeon was already producing a show about a cat. So they were like, okay, let's do something different. It was a smash hit.
Yep.
Largely due to those producers' extensive research. Within 18 months of its premiere, Blue's Clues was as well known as more established children's shows, such as Sesame Street. Mm-hmm. So
it skyrocketed to equal fame.
In less than 2 years. It became the highest rated show for preschoolers on commercial television. And by 2002, 13.7 million viewers tuned in each week.
Jeez.
In 2004, a spin-off called Blue's Room was launched. It featured puppets instead of animation, as well as the original show's second host, Joe. And then, so I'm just doing this quick overview before I do a couple of more detailed things. In March of 2018, Nickelodeon announced it would revive Blue's Clues with an order of 20 episodes. The revival has a new host named Josh and has a new signature look and has switched to CGI animation.
Fancy and schmancy.
Yes. Of course, the most important decision that they had to make was that of who was going to be the host. The host was important to what they wanted was a host that would inspire the kids and build their esteem and connect with them so that they stayed engaged. They originally wanted a female host, but after a lot of research and thousands of, maybe not thousands, maybe over 1,000 auditions, they hired Steve Burns, who was just really strong in his audition. And he received the best response in the audience, like tests.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So what they said made him be a really good children's TV host was that he didn't want to be a children's host. He loved kids, but he didn't want to make a career out of it. It was something that he just wanted to play with and just have fun with. And he wasn't taking it too seriously is the point of that.
Right.
He remained on Blue's Clues for 7 years. So Steve is our original host. And he was in over 100 episodes. And then he eventually left to just go pursue something different. There was no drama. It was... What?
Well, it's just, I wouldn't say there was no drama, because when he left, this is how I remember it in the world. When he left and Joe took over, the rumors began to circulate about why he was gone. And like, I remember that there were rumors that he died of a drug overdose. There were rumors that he was like... My favorite rumors about children's hosts is that they are like also undercover ops agents for the government. Because there was something like that, like he was in the military or something and he got killed or something.
Well, I will rephrase. There was no real drama.
Right.
Yes. All of that was made up drama just to be dramatic.
It's like how have you ever heard the rumor that that Mr. Rogers was in the Marines and he had like sleeve tattoos all the way up his arms.
And that's why he wore a sweater.
Yeah, that's why he always wore a sweater. Which is just ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
And then Donovan Patton, who played Joe, came along. Joe is the brother, I'm putting this in quotes, the fictional brother
in the story,
of Steve.
Right.
Yes. And he was also selected out of over 1,000 auditions. And he also just really wanted to have fun. And Steve helped Donovan integrate himself into the role of Joe.
Pick up some of those family traits.
Right. So if you're unfamiliar with Blue Clues, it takes place. It takes
pictures in places.
What I mean is it takes place inside what looks like a picture book, a storybook. And we have Blue, who is a dog, who is a girl, which I always thought was, because watching Blue's Clues as a kid, I always thought, Blue means boy, doesn't it? But no, Blue is a girl, and I love that. Steve and then Joe were the two original main hosts, and they are human, And they are interacting with animated objects.
The animated environment,
yes. Yeah. We have mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
We have side table drawer.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite. The handy dandy notebook.
Yeah.
Mr. Salt and Mrs. Pepper, who go on to have Paprika and Cinnamon, their children. Shovel and Pail are outside in the sandpit. Tickety Tock is an alarm clock. And Slippery Soap is a bar of soap that lives in the bathroom sink. And he dreams of becoming the captain of a boat when he grows up. So one of the researchers said that Blue's Clues is a game that presents its viewers with increasingly challenging problems to solve. So early episodes focused on basic subjects like colors and numbers and letters, but then it grew to be more about math and physics and anatomy and astronomy and those sorts of things. So throughout the series, they were getting more challenging. The Nickelodeon originally aired the same episode daily for 5 days before showing the next one, because they believed that this would empower the kids, giving them more opportunities to master the content instead of just memorize the content. Mastery over memorization, always what we want. As two people that, like I've said before, we were in education and we studied education in school and everything. That's fun to see that people
take it seriously.
Yeah, take it seriously. They also field tested everything in Head Start programs, in public schools, in private daycares. They went all over the place testing the different reactions of the kids. Also, one of the last little technical things was that the pace was very deliberate. They had pauses, so the host would interact with the kids outside of the TV screen and say, what do you see? And those pauses were very, very deliberate in how long they were, because it should be long enough to give the younger kids time to think and short enough so that the older kids don't go trailing off.
Right.
After those pauses, then the children voiceovers would say the answers. So it's not just an adult telling you all the things. It's the kids answering the questions. Each episode was in development from idea, so the very first, to final production for 1 year.
Jeez.
Each episode was in development for approximately 1 year.
That's so long.
Yeah. And the host performed each episode in front of a blue screen or green screen. It said blue screen in my research. I'm not sure what the difference is, honestly.
I think it's just early computer graphics.
Gotcha.
They use blue screens.
And then they added the animation later. So I just always thought it was kind of fascinating when a real life person has to interact with animation. That must be difficult.
So them and also, weathermen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. How do you know where to point? It's insane. It has been described as the first preschool television show that was both educational and profitable.
Okay.
So it sold almost 40 million units of its VHS and DVD titles by 1998, and it generated over $1 billion in product licensing by the year 2000.
Jeez.
Also, it has received several awards for children's programming and the educational research that it did. It's been nominated for Emmy Awards and has won a Peabody Award.
Go Blues.
Yes. Go Blues. They've also done live shows. A ton of people have gone to those. And there's a lot more that I saw about the education and the development of the show that I thought was very interesting that people don't want to hear me talk about. So
if you're interested in that, go do the research.
Yes. In 2018, they did announce the reboot of the new series with a new host and 20 new episodes. And in September of 2018, it was announced that the show would be called Blue's Clues and You! !
Oh.
And the new host is played by Joshua De La Cruz, and I believe he just goes by Josh in the show. And it premiered in 2019, the end of 2019. One just random tidbit at the very end here.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Charles.
Yes.
Appeared in the popular Blue's Clues VHS movie.
Okay.
Blue's Big musical movie.
Okay.
And it was his final film role prior to his death 4 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. He died in 2004. So, that's a lot.
Clues.
I felt like I talked a lot about things, but that's it. I thought it was very interesting how much goes into making those little Blue's Clues. And we know the songs. I still know the songs. I still, like, we just got a letter, you know. Mail time.
Oh, yeah. Like,
mail time, mail time. Here's the mail, it never fails. Yeah. You know all of the songs.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Blue's good do, we can do. Oh, yes. I forgot to mention, Blue is voiced by one of those original producers.
Oh, okay.
That did a lot of research. They went, basically they were like, well, who's going to voice Blue? And they were like, okay, everybody go around the room and do your best bark. And it was her. It was her. And she voiced Blue.
That's funny. I'll say one other thing I remember, like I said, I was in 1996, I was 10. So I was old for Blue's Clues.
Yeah.
I think my sister watched it some.
Yeah, we watched it more because we had I had 2 younger siblings.
Right. But even she was a little old for it. But anyway, the point is, one thing I remember liking about it was the notebook and like the little sort of simple drawings. Because we were big into those kinds of shows. I remember that for some amount of time, like, my mom was into like the Bob Ross kind of thing. Like she didn't paint along, but she thought that was interesting.
Oh, it's so soothing.
And then we watched a show called Pappy Drew It, which was basically Bob Ross for little kids. Oh. And it was basically like, here's how you can draw like a cartoon character. And he would take you through how to do that. And so that section of the show was always like that for me. It's like, here's how you draw a house. And like, it's a really basic house. It's like how a 4-year-old should draw a house.
Yeah, because he goes, here's a square and here's a triangle. And then we'll put a rectangle as the door. Like, he kind of goes step by step.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I remember even as just a kid thinking that was a really cool aspect of the show is like showing little kids how to draw too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a classic. I think we all agree.
I had to put my foot up.
We're falling apart over here, folks.
We're falling apart.
I've been under the weather.
Yeah, Rich and Cora have both been just kind of weather's changing, under the weather, no COVID concerns, but and I have just been getting up super early to
teach those kids.
To teach those sweet darling kids across the world that have to live in a completely different time zone.
They're required to because of where they live. Yeah. Anyway, this has been another episode of Not Suitable for Adults. We thank you for listening, and we invite you to rate and review the show if you're able to in your podcast app, or go over to podchaser.com. You can do that there. You can also pick up some of our merch. If you go to podchaser.com, you can click on us there or search for us at tpublic.com. Don't forget, next week,
you will not hear our voices on this channel.
You will get an episode of Not Suitable for Adults. It'll be coming out on Tuesday.
Tuesday. Not 2 days, because we are recording this.
We release our show on Monday. Unlike that normal pattern, next week's episode will come out on Tuesday.
Okay, gotcha.
And then, so find us there, and then we'll
let you know what show we are hosting.
Yeah, if you want to know where we are, make sure you're following us on Twitter, and we'll tell you where we're at when that episode drops.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We need to record that episode, by the way.
Don't let the other podcasts know that we're procrastinators.
We're not. They're all recording right now too.
Okay.
So yeah, just go over there, have a lot of fun. It's gonna be a good week. I feel like I'm missing something. What am I missing?
Nothing.
Nice. I nailed it. Even though I didn't feel like it, I really nailed it this time.
Okay.
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
First
now,
try.
okay, here we go. Do an outro and go.
The outro begins when I start talking. I'm trying to make something up off the top of my head, and I just want to encourage you to do something.
You use that voice.
I do kind of a whisper. I do kind of a whisper, but I just don't want you to forget that you're the boss.
And then I say, so watch whatever you want.
And then we both go, okay, bye.
Bye.